Hello everyone, so we just got the Honkai Chronicles for Otto Apocalypse. Now I knew this was out in CN, but since they're usually in English version, I did wait for the English version. I wasn't expecting it to come out this soon, but it seems we do have it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now I did read Ellen Palatine's, by the way, so... But these Honkai Chronicles usually are done in a really good way.
Life is but a walking shadow, a clumsy actor gesturing on the stage, who only appears briefly and steps off in silence. Otto Apocalypse, the most pathetic fool alive. He is the revered
That's usually how he
overseer.
describes himself.
He is a corrupt, bigoted clown. Over centuries, he once sacrificed lives beyond count for his selfish desires, but also overthrew a decadent reign with people's support. He treated humans as pawns and trampled the value of emotion and life, but treasured Valkyries at the front line and prayed for their triumphant return.
Yep, he did good things and bad things.
Friend
Although
and foe,
mostly bad things, you can't deny he's done good things too.
No one has ever seen through him.
Yep,
But to Otto himself,
that's him.
His actions only served one purpose.
To revive Kallen.
It all began in an afternoon 500 years ago. Though Otto was born in the Three Houses, he was frail and sickly. He could only craft
I do
whimsical
wonder though, how did he
inventions,
get his
which
Honkai,
naturally deprived him of inheritance.
resistance? Through
His
sodium?
older brothers detested his effort at self-destruction, but no one noticed his inner needs and desires.
Yeah, until
It was
Kallen
then
came by.
that a white-haired, blue-eyed girl brightened Otto's cold and dull heart like a ray of sunshine. She praised Otto's work sincerely, expected great inventions from him,
Yeah,
and
something
invited
that no
him
one
to
had ever
save the
done.
world with
The
her.
thing is, Otto had a
For
really
the
bad
first time
family.
in his life, young Otto felt recognized. He could be
Kallen was
expected. He could be needed.
his salvation.
Since
so
that
to say.
faraway afternoon, everything he did has gained meaning because
Yeah.
of her validation.
So when she died, that was hurtful.
But the twisted fate would not spare them. The rampant plague and the failed crusade tore the prosperity they lived in apart. Power and force were the perfect fuel for greed, turning a shaky faith into the breeding ground for
There's
degeneracy.
so many words in Otto's
In the
family.
turmoil,
They
the
weren't
lives of the
corrupt.
two reached a turning point. Fearing abandonment, Otto chose to disregard ethics and performed experiments on dying patients. He sought findings at all costs.
That was the beginning of darkness.
Kallen, who could not condone his crime, became a raven at night to spread hope and enact the justice in her heart. But lies were lies. After many operations, Kallen
Shariak.
discovered the secrets of the human experiments, and Otto exposed himself at the last minute. Before the infinite greed of Schicksal, individual will was nothing. Kallen was imprisoned. The cold bars separated the two that were once childhood friends,
Man, that's
but their
painful.
minds had
Their
already
stories.
drifted further apart. To Kallen, the dignity of life was what she had sworn to defend. To Otto, morality and ethics were only prices to be paid.
Yeah, that
A
was
loud slap and a conflict of beliefs sent them on completely different paths.
Yep.
Otto knew that in no way could he stop Kallen. He accepted it and helped her escape in silence. After everything settled, Otto was given the key to the library.
Void Archives?
Although Void
think, yeah.
Archives used the index permission as a bait in an attempt to possess Otto, Otto did not fall for it.
Yeah,
He
Void
developed
Archives said, oh,
technology
don't worry,
pieces
we
of
can
knowledge,
settle that price
and thus
later,
a
and
game
then
that would
APA
last
choking.
centuries began. In the days that followed, Otto searched for Kallen while continuing his research and experiments. When he heard Kallen was in danger in Yaya
That was also
Village,
that thing was kind of
he
related
immediately
to
had
leadership
Oath of
corruption.
Judah
Not in the
delivered,
same way, but yeah.
but not the response letter that spoke his loving
It's like a
heart.
pseudo Ursher, I think.
Meanwhile, Kallen sealed the Hersher of corruption in the black box.
Yeah, and then
with
that was
Oath
the Ursher of
Judah,
corruption then.
but was severely wounded. she was taken back to Europe by Schicksal for a trial. Kallen was faithful and refused to sacrifice for family feuds, and thus was sentenced to hanging. Otto tried everything he could, but it was futile before the church's will. On the day of execution, the desperate Otto released Honkai Beast on the execution ground. He planned to take Kallen amid the chaos, but he underestimated Kallen's resolve. In the end, Kallen lost her life when protecting the people. Losing the love of his life painted Otto's world gray again. Resentful, he chased after Kallen's shadow. He tried to give this sad story a happy ending as she would have wanted.
But there was no happy ending.
He sounded the horn of revolution with his wisdom and cleansed the remaining evil with his hands.
That was the
People
war of
sang
succession.
his accomplishments, and soldiers admired his resourcefulness. As cheers of victory echoed through the silent church, Otto could not help but ask himself if this was enough. In the centuries that followed, the hole inside Otto was still agape. The only way to mend it was to revive the love of his life and the holy maid of the people,
and
Kallen
the 500 years began.
In 1496, Otto had no choice but to travel to Shenzhou in search of the legendary Master
I've not read
Phoenix
Fuwa's visual novel. This is new
for
to me.
a chance to revive Kallen. He met the fledgling swordswoman Li Sushan and found the reborn Fuhua. But to his surprise, even an immortal celestial had regrets and could not bring back departed souls.
Yeah.
In the end, Otto and Fuhua made a pact. Schicksal would protect Shenzhou in the powerless Fuhua's place, and Fuhua would serve Schicksal as a Valkyrie. In 1952, the first Honkai eruption broke out. Schicksal captured the amnesiac first Herrscher and performed 3 years worth of serial experiments on him, which yielded nothing.
Before he was
even
saved
approached
by
him in person
Einstein and Tesla.
to persuade him into succeeding to the Schicksal Overseer, but failed. To eliminate risks, Otto decided to wipe out the North American branch that was about to discover Schicksal's ugly truth. He launched Honkai fission missiles at New York, where tens of millions lived. Heroes defending freedom and justice stepped forward and crushed Otto's scheme at the cost of their lives.
Welt's father.
This led to the independence of anti-entropy. This failure taught Otto to take hold of the power to retaliate Honkai, which led to the Clone Project and the Artificial Stigma Project. In 1972, Otto began running forbidden clone experiments in the hope of reviving Kallen, but the results were not satisfactory.
Not Kiana yet.
After injecting the cells of Honkai Beast Vishnu, the first living batch of Kallen clones was born.
And
Otto made them
Amber.
fight one another to death at the end of the survival test. Only the individual numbered A310 rejected this absurd order.
And that's how Amber
Her kindness
survived.
in valuing life and her courage to defy her maker shocked Otto. He took A310 into his family and named her Teresa Apocalypse. Meanwhile, Otto established the Tower of Babylon laboratory to study artificial stigmata. Countless gifted children were taken from their parents and subjected to inhumane experiments day and night. Insurmountable suffering and hatred against humanity nourished these Honkai vessels.
Poor Siren.
At last, Siren, the second Herrscher, was born. Otto mustered Valkyrie troops to subdue the Herrscher, dived into her sentience with the help of Fuhua, and received revelation from the will of Honkai. After many great sacrifices were made, Otto gave the order to launch Honkai fission missiles at Siberia to bury the truth deep beneath the scorched snowfield. Otto's resurrection project gradually took shape due to the guidance from above.
When the will of Honkai stabbed itself.
For several years, Otto tried to create the most promising clone with Kiana Kaslana and Siren's genes for the second Herrscher to possess upon return. He transplanted the core of the second Herrscher to the test subject numbered K423. The longing for Cecilia gave her life. After being taken to St. Freya by Himeko, the love she felt and the bonds she made helped her learn to love this world and those
on the
around
right
her.
side, if we didn't have Otto, we wouldn't
Watching
have
Kiana move along the
K43.
path he designed, Otto knew when she began to believe she would never be alone was when he could advance the plan. In the illusory
So that
Tower
he
of
could
Babylon,
control the Ursa of the
the
Void.
girl's despair and longing for motherly love facilitated the Hersher Persona's awakening. Fuhua took her back to Schicksal. The experiment pod confined her once again. Facing the pod, Otto's eyes only showed a hunger for the Hersher of the Void's power. As Otto injected enormous Honkai energy into K423, Hersher of the Void returned. Otto saved the dying Fuhua and told her his
Saved?
Looking into
Say, I mean, you
Fuhua's
kind of did, I
furious
guess.
eyes,
It saved
Otto
and then killed
paused
her.
for a short yet long moment and pulled the trigger.
Yeah, he saved her and then
Everything
killed her.
went according to his plan. Himeko burned up herself to tear through Siren's will. Kiana's sentience returned to the body of the Hersher.
Like, I kind of respect him for that
To
cutscene,
obtain
but
a Hersher
seeing
of
all
the
of this
Void
again,
who
it
could
just makes
command
it harder
the
to
power with
respect him.
human will,
I mean,
Otto
God's
trampled
like, man.
emotions and disregarded lives. Otto believed that love and emotional bonds could evoke miracles, but he
then
never
did the same for
respected
anger,
nor
so
honored
he
them.
did know how emotions affected Honkai.
So far, Kallen's revival was only missing a key: Cosmic Juggernaut's beacon. Previously, to reach the imaginary tree that governed how worlds worked, Schicksal cracked the legend of King Arthur and found the key of
King
infinity
Arthur?
that offered space travel in the River Thames, but it was
I
incomplete.
think it's really interesting that this looks the
Durandal
same as a
passed
Star
Pioneer
Rail
Sue's test by
Astral
chance
Express, but
and
it's a different
received
name, and
information and
I don't think it's the
experience
same.
as numerous as sand grains in the Ganges. To complete Cosmic Juggernaut, Otto struck a deal with World Serpent's leader. He traded Void Archives for Cosmic Juggernaut's beacon. When the Hersher of Dominance and Hyperion were locked in battle, he took the Theater of Domination and thousands of cores in secret.
Yeah, no one saw him actually. Only
At last,
like in the
fully
1025
prepared
EX.
Otto returned to the beginning.
Kallen,
where Schicksal's blood and tears were buried. It would become the end of his long journey. On the other side of the stage, Valkyries had readied themselves as well. Teresa would succeed as the Schicksal Overseer and lead the newborn
and that's how
Schicksal
he
toward a
got
bright
connects
future.
CTHO.
Bronya would shoulder the weight of the Welt name, for the Hersher of Reason's path had stretched to her.
This arc, I think it's my favorite to be
Fuhua
honest.
concluded a feud
It
that
had
spanned centuries,
development for
so she could
Bronya,
embrace yesterday
Sele,
as a
Teresa,
human and open the door to
Lee
tomorrow.
Susan's return, Imaginary
Kiana
Tree, it was
broke free
epic.
from the shackles of fate and created a trail
Durandal.
of flames that would guide them forward with her friends. Durandal broke through the barrier of Kaslana and earned a new heritage that only belonged to her. Valkyries
Lots
were
of stuff
eager
has
to settle
happened.
accounts with Otto. Indeed, they won. Their crushing victory was a heavy blow to Otto. What they did not know
Is that he
was
was-
that their growth, their resolve, and even the joy of winning were also part of Otto's plan.
Yep.
What he planned for in the
At
past
least it was a
500
good plan.
years
I mean, a good
was
ending.
but a bargaining chip to
Kind
attain
of.
death
I mean, he
and
dies.
a new
That's
life.
a shame. I mean, that's a shame and that's not,
After
'cause
being
otherwise there'll be
defeated
a lot
by
more
Valkyries,
suffering. I respect him though for
Otto
that last.
broke free from Imaginary's control momentarily. He imbued the world's wedge with all the false god's power to create infinite possibilities for Kallen. As Otto
Make
left
the
his last
finite
message,
infinite and the infinite
his
finite.
sentience finally dissipated
So
in
that's
the
how it
still
works.
time-space.
That makes more. That gives more context to what imaginary renormalization is.
To different people, Otto perhaps means different things.
Yep.
But to Otto himself, all rights and wrongs are transient.
Though he
has
did hate
attained eternal
himself.
peace. His life as a fool is finally over.
I think is that no one actually hated him more than himself. And it was doing it all for Kallen. Like, he's actually the villain. I used to hate him, and I'm not saying I like him. I do respect him for that final act in the animation. But I'm in conflict. Do I like him? Do I hate him? I don't know. I mean, I'm never gonna forgive what he did. And I don't think many people will either. But like, you gotta admit, like, that final act, he never intended to destroy 500 years of history. That was just small talk to get them to kill, kind of, him, so he can get the imaginary tree. Like, he's a very complex character, though. I mean, like, he did possibly pave the way for the defeat of Honkai. Now, I don't know. There's just one slight hint where the path to leading to Honkai's defeat that's revealed its first step. That was that line in the thing. I have my theory that it's related to something in its imaginary tree, like that imaginary renormalization or whatever that is, that maybe made the wheel of Honkai weaker. I feel like something important happened. We just don't know what happened. But yeah, really interesting character. I didn't know much about the Fuwa visual novels, so that was new to me. And as always, Honkai Chronicles, they always do a great job of, even if you do know the character, they're always so well done that you can just get like in 10-15 minutes their entire lives, and that's amazing. Because usually if you try to explain a character like Otto, you take like, I don't know, 1 hour, 2 hours discussing it. So Honkai Chronicles are always great. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Can't wait for Tab 29, by the way. I feel like something big's gonna happen on the next arc, and maybe even the last arc. I know, I don't think it's the last arc, but maybe. Anyways, thank you all for watching. See you guys next time. Have a good day. Bye.